Welcome back to Passions Over Pancakes. My name is Hannah. I am the creator and the host of this podcast, a project in which I talk to people about their passions while we eat pancakes. If you're a returning listener here, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are new here, thank you for joining us. I am so excited that you guys are here, and I cannot do any of this without you. So thank you for being here. If you're a longtime listener on specifically the YouTube, you would know that we typically have video of our conversations, but unfortunately, the platform that I use to do these interviews doesn't always cooperate. So at the moment, it's just audio, and that will be that way for a couple of interviews after this. So if you want to head over to Spotify, you're more than welcome to. But if you want to keep watching on YouTube, you are more than welcome to do that as well. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. Today on the podcast, I am joined by Brock, my good friend, and I am so excited that he is on the podcast because he is one of the most inspirational and motivational people I have ever met in my entire life. After having a conversation with Brock, you will just want to be more enthusiastic and positive about life in every single way, shape, and form. There is no way that you will leave this podcast feeling down about anything. You are going to feel pumped up, I promise you. So today we're talking about Drum Corps International and all the things involved with that. We're talking about Brock's journey into band in general and his journey into DCI, his previous seasons, and the season that he is currently in. And I want to make it explicitly known that this podcast was recorded back in March or April, right before the tour season started. Clearly, it is way past March and April, and the season is coming to a close. It is currently DCI finals week. If you haven't listened to the previous episode, you don't have to if you don't feel like it, but the lowdown of it is I bit off way more than I could chew trying to restart Passions Over Pancakes in the middle of my busiest semester of nursing school, and we are recovering from burnout, and we're pacing ourselves now, and things are on the up and up. So, and I apologize that this was not uploaded way back then, but I figured, you know what, DCI Finals Week seems like a good way to wrap everything up. So everything in this podcast is from that point of view and in that time period where he was about to head out in his first world-class drum corps season, and now everything's wrapping up. So we will have Brock back on the podcast in a little bit just to kind of recap his season and tell us all about it. But if you are wanting to get involved with DCI in any way, especially this week, this is finals week, I will leave all the links of everything that we talk about below. And the biggest thing is on the DCI website, you will be able to watch DCI finals this weekend if you so feel inclined. So I'll leave all the information below. With all that being said, let's go ahead and just hop right into this podcast. I am so excited for this podcast to air, and let's just jump right into it. Brock, welcome to Passions Over Pancakes. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm happy to see your face again, and just so excited to talk to you about drum corps and band, music, and all the things in between.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for having me on. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous because this is my first time actually being on a podcast, but I don't know, I just can't wait because this has just been a long time passion for me. I just can't wait to talk about it. Like, I don't know, I just feel like the music world is just so underappreciated, and I just can't wait to get my passion out to this little world,
Absolutely. And I'm pumped to talk about it too, because we both come from the same line of band and high school band and that passion for music. And you are in what's considered marching music's major league right now. Yes, and for those who don't know, who may not have caught up in the intro, Brock has been a part of DCI for 2 years now. He was contracted 3 times with the battalion, and he marched for a full season in 2021.
Yeah, so last year.
That's right. Yes. So 2021, he marched a full season with the battalion, and he just got contracted with the Mandarins for this coming season in 2022. So we are so excited for him. And he's going to be joining the Mandarins with spring training and that whole shindig very soon. And we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. But we come from the same line of passion for music. So I'm super excited to talk to him about this. And as you can already tell from this, couple minute intro, Brock is so passionate about everything that he does. And this is just going to be such a good interview. And I'm so excited. So before we get started, Brock has some pancakes that he made, and I do not currently, but Brock does. And he's showing me up. Look at those pancakes. Take a look, take a gander, because those look amazing.
Yes.
And I very much appreciate that he is showing me up in terms of pancakes right now.
Yes.
So with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So Brock,
tell me a little bit about how you got into music in the first place.
Okay, so it goes all the way back to around 6th grade, 7th grade-ish. I don't know, just like growing up in general, I really just dreaded going to music class for whatever reason. Like I don't know, I just hated singing in front of people, so I went to a private school where we had to do like some choir stuff, and I absolutely hated doing that. In fact, one time I went back to my parents just because I was so embarrassed to do it. And then that didn't really change all that much. When I got to public school in 5th and 6th grade, we did in music class learn how to play the ukulele. That was really my first like exposure to any instrument of any kind. And I was just like, I don't know why I'm doing this. But I don't know. I've always had like an interest in like musical instruments as a kid, even though I didn't really just care about music in the first place. But that kind of all changed when I was going to the 7th grade open house for 6th graders, the band program at my junior high. How do I explain this? So they have like in the band room, they had like all these instruments where you could just try out just any one that you wanted, just to find one that you liked. And I decided to go in there, and I fell in love with the saxophone. I was just like, hey, I really want to play this. And I was just like trying all the other instruments like tuba, euphonium, I think, trumpet. But I was just like, I really want to play the saxophone. But I had to play clarinet first because it was that kind of program where they had all their beginners on clarinet for half a year before going to saxophone. So I played clarinet for half a year, and then my band director handed out the audition pieces for clarinet to saxophone, and I tried so hard. I practiced so much to get that. And I got it. I was one of the like five or six clarinets that switched to saxophone then, and I played saxophone just all throughout junior high and unto high school and even until college. So that's just kind of like how I just got started in band, and it's just stuck to me.
That's awesome. And how cool too, because band is such a cool program for people who are looking for some type of family, but also, looking for something to do, before, after, during school. And it's just band has my heart, really. It's funny that you say, going to try out all the instruments and whatnot. Our high school called that a petting zoo. And so they would have a petting zoo with all of the instruments that you could try. And that was one of my favorite parts of high school and I guess middle school too, is just getting to see the younger kids picking up an instrument and trying to play it for the first time and finally getting a squeak out of it and being so excited. And then like that was their spark of their music career after that. And it's just, those are fun memories. Those are definitely fun memories.
Yeah.
So what was your specifically high school experience with band like? Was it kind of was it a good experience? Was it a bad experience? Did you find family and lifelong friends in that?
Oh, 100%. So my high school program definitely emphasized the family environment, and we utilize like a bunch of traditions just so that we can incorporate that family environment. So for those that are not quite into like the band or just like music or marching arts, sing or anything, band is an activity that has a lots of like family environments to it, and it's kind of by nature like that because especially in marching band, you are basically around the same people for a really long time, like probably around like 5 or 6 months, maybe even longer, for one season. There's a lot of seasons and just that amount of time that allows for bonding. But I feel like just something special about like my program is that just how close everyone was, just not just in my section, not just like my saxophone section, but just for everyone like across the sections. We all had a common goal that we wanted to achieve, and along the way we just treat each other good. And it's just the family environment, just something special that I can't really like explain right now, but just the family environment just at my home program is just something special about me. I think that's what really kept me in band for so long. Because I don't know, I could have like quit a really long time ago. Like I even questioned myself like in the past, just like looking back when I was like in high school or even college, like, wow, why was I in band for this long? I should have quit after I got my fine arts credit, but I still stuck with it, and I really glad I did. It's just the family environment, I think, just really just kept me into it.
Absolutely. And if you are a middle schooler, a high schooler, somebody in college, or a parent watching this or listening to this right now, just be encouraged that if you're afraid to start in a band program or a drama department or sports or whatever it is, just know that your family away from your family can be found anywhere. And for Brock and I, that has been found in the music world of things. But just try it out. You're never going to know unless you try it. And I can speak to everything that Brock has just said as well. Band was 1000% my family away from my family in high school. And they're the people that I did everything with. I was, the band kid, the band nerd, but it was the most wonderful experience because you're spending 30 plus hours a week with these same folks. And that's an all year round thing. It doesn't stop during any season. And you really do find your lifelong friends, your lifelong family
100%.
in programs like these. And it's so worth it just to put yourself out there and just take the chance, just see, what could happen, what might happen. So worth it. And you never know where it might lead. You might put your instrument down the last concert of your high school career and never touch it again, and you'll still have those memories, or you might take it and make a career out of it, whether it's performance or education or whatever it may be. So you just never know. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. I can totally 100% agree with that. I even know some people marching that March Battalion that aren't going into music education. In fact, the whole quad line were computer science majors. Fun fact. Yeah. So that's just kind of funny. Like this is not an activity just for people who want to go into music. It's for everyone who just wants to try it out. It's basically like, okay, you already have this skill in an instrument, but you still want to do a sport. Like you could just go like cross country or like football or basketball or something like that. But why not incorporate something that you already really like and just do an athletic activity based off of that? So yeah, I can totally 100% agree with everything that Hannah said. So yeah,
for sure. Okay, so let's get into the whole Drum Corps International side of things. Would you be willing to explain to the audience what Drum Corps International is?
Oh, totally. So what Drum Corps International is, so just as a broad thing, what Drum Corps is think of like a high school marching band where they like go to competitions, right? You probably have encountered some of that in high school. What Drum Corps is basically the major league version of marching band. So some people call it professional marching band. It's not really a profession because you have to pay to be in DCI or just Drum Corps in general. That's just how it works. So there's various Drum Corps that are located all throughout the United States. There's one in Canada, I think. There's some also around the world, but those rarely come to the United States. But basically, there's like these independent organizations. They're not affiliated with any schools or anything. Usually, they're like independent non-profit organizations that recruit people from all across the country. So people like percussionists or people who play brass instruments or color guard members, and they go audition for these independent organizations and they contract them to perform shows and go tour all across the country for a summer. So the Drum Corps season it starts in June. Well, it starts way before that. So auditions are like in December, January, and then there's monthly camps after that until spring training, which usually lasts about 2 weeks to a month. And then like the show, like the tour season starts in early June, and it goes all the way to DCI finals, which is in early August. So that's basically Drum Corps in a very broad nutshell. So it's basically just competitive, high level, like the highest level you can possibly imagine that you could possibly achieve marching band. That's basically what it is.
Absolutely. That was the perfect description. Thank you so much.
Of course.
When I was learning about DCI, somebody told me that it was like baseball in the sense that like a lot of cities have drum corps, and they, tour around for shows, but nobody sits out on the sidelines. And everybody is in 100% of the time, and it's a group effort, a group sport. So yeah, that was the perfect description. Thank you so much, Brock.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me then, with the description of DCI and what it is and all of that, tell me what got you into DCI. When it was, the first time you heard about DCI, and when did you decide that you wanted to be in DCI?
Okay, so I didn't start marching band until my junior year of high school. So I decided to do band my junior year. I did it my junior and my senior year. So that's just kind of like, just I want to get that out of the way before I go into like how I got into drum corps. So my junior year, so I live in Utah, so there's always one drum corps show in Ogden every year, and we call it Corps Encore. And my band director was like, "Hey, be sure to get your tickets to Corps Encore." And I was like, "What the flip is that? I don't want to do it because I just didn't know what it was. I just wasn't into like the drum corps thing at the time." And then I remember one person that was there that I followed on Instagram. He was streaming the Blue Devils 2017, just the trumpets and the lot. And I was like, when I first clicked on it, I just saw them and I heard like the amazing loud trumpet chords. I was like, holy crap, what is this? And I was just like, okay, so that's pretty cool. But I don't think I really got into DCI until like after the championships were done that year, and I just somehow came across Blue Devils 2017 again, and I was just watching that. I was like, holy crap, this is very, very insane. And I just do what I usually do, just go down a rabbit hole. And I was like, wow, this is really, really, really cool. It's kind of hard to explain when you're just that in the moment, but you're just that band kid, just kind of like expecting what band is, and then you see something just on a higher level, and you just see something that blows you away. You're like, what the flip is this? And like when a band kid experiences that, or just anyone in general just experiences that for the first time, it's hard to go back. Like so I think that was really like the first time I really got really into DCI. And then my senior year, I was just like, okay, I knew what the activity was at the time, so I went to Corps Encore for the first time. I've only saw videos up until this point, so I was seeing drum corps live for the very first time, and I saw Santa Clara Vanguard 2018. For those who don't know that, please go look it up, because it is literally one of the best shows of all time. Like one of the best shows I've ever seen. Go see Santa Clara Vanguard 2018. It's probably one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. And I was just like, holy crap, like this is insane. And after that, I was just like, I actually want to continue band after high school and do this because drum corps is cool and I want to do it even though I don't plan on going into music. So I was just like, I really, really want to do this. And then earlier I found out there's a drum corps just locally here in Utah called the Battalion. And I thought it would be a really good stepping stone for me to get into drum corps, because for those who don't know, so in drum corps, there's no woodwinds. There's actually only brass instruments. So what I decided to do is I decided to pick up a brass instrument, and I ultimately decided on baritone after playing mellophone. I couldn't fit the mouthpiece around me. So I decided to pick baritone. And I practiced the heck out of that thing, went to the audition camp, and kind of just everything after that. Yeah, that's just kind of like the whole entire broad thing of how I just got into the activity in general. So
that's awesome. Thank you for that background. That's so cool. I find it super interesting because we've never personally talked about this before, but my story is very much like yours in terms of drum corps and whatnot. I'm primarily a flute player, but my sophomore year of high school, we had a shortage of tuba players and a shortage of sousaphone players on the marching band field. So the summer before my sophomore year, I thought, how hard can it be? How hard can a brass instrument be? Little did I know.
True.
So I started playing the sousaphone for that coming year's marching band season. And I fell in love with brass instruments, and I knew that that would be a good stepping stone into DCI. When I first got into DCI, it was 2013. It was my freshman year of high school, and I didn't know what DCI was, but like you, Brock, my band director said, we're going to this thing and everybody's invited and get your tickets. And that was the same year that my high school started up their marching band again after 30 years. So my band director thought that this would be the perfect opportunity to see what marching band is all about. And it totally was. It was so cool. It was up in Ogden, and I had not seen anything online about it. I really didn't know what DCI was. And my socks were blown off. It was absolutely incredible. I remember seeing Santa Clara Vanguard. It was their Les Miserables show. Sobbed through the whole thing. And Carolina Crown, that was their year that they did E = MC squared.
Yes.
And that was the
Good
perfect
show. Such a
introduction. Yeah, absolutely. All of these shows will be linked down below, so please go check them out. That was the perfect introduction to drum corps, and I fell in love. I did Rodeo Queen that summer, and my audition for Rodeo Queen, I wore purple all summer because I was just so in love with Carolina Crown. And they were the Purple Pants band that year, and so I was like, I'm wearing purple pants. But it was just so fantastic and such a wonderful introduction to marching band. And I'm really, really grateful that my band director had us go. But yeah, and then I started playing sousaphone and never got the courage to go to a drum corps audition. And I wanted to so badly, but I just knew that I wasn't up there enough in my skill, and I also knew that I couldn't afford it, so I didn't want to like get my hopes up and have the possibility of a contract knowing full well that I couldn't afford it even with scholarships. But yeah, on the flip side of that, it's very, very cool to be able to watch vicariously like my dreams through you marching in drum corps and doing all the things. It's really, really cool, and it's such a blessing to be able to know you and cheer you on from the sidelines.
Thank you, Hannah.
Of course, absolutely. So everybody go cheer on Brock. That's all I'm saying. That's the whole moral of the story.
You don't have to. You probably won't see me.
You'll be like, oh, I think that's it. No, I think that's it. No, they all look the same. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, maybe.
Okay, so with your introduction to DCI then, and you finally were like, I'm doing this. Like, this is what I know I want to do. This is what I want to audition for. What was the experience of auditioning for the battalion like? Walk me through how many different auditions there were and what it was like to finally get that contract.
Okay, so just kind of backing up. So I picked up a brass instrument for the first time just right after my senior year of high school, like right when we were done with that season. So after that I decided to pick up a brass instrument because I wanted to march drum corps. So I practiced the heck out of that thing for like 2 months, and I showed up to so what battalion does is that they have an experience camp for just people who want to audition for drum corps to see what it was like. So I went to their, I think it was December or November. No, it's actually the December one. They have their November one in Colorado and their December one in Utah. So I decided to go to their December one in Utah, and I showed up there with like 2 months experience on the horn. It was an interesting experience. It basically just went like a regular marching band block, but it was all day. That was the only difference, because in high school marching band, obviously you have to be in school, so you have a limited amount of time to rehearse. In drum corps, you basically have all day to rehearse. So basically it was just block basically all day. So like visual block, and then music block when we were in an arc, and just playing just basically like concert F tones, like lip slurs, all that fun stuff, and also some music that we've got for the weekend as well to learn as well. So that's basically what my first experience was, and all I remember for that is I hurted so much because because I went from alto saxophone, which is probably one of the easiest instruments to march, but when I learned how to play baritone, I had to get used for it to rest against my face instead of just having the mouthpiece in my mouth. And one thing about baritone is that it's probably one of the hardest instruments to march in DCI because of just the sheer weight of the horn. So a baritone weighs around like 5.5 pounds, somewhere around there. You have to hold it out with like your shoulders out like this. There's not many things that you can do to prepare for that except for just holding up the horn as long as you can. So I was going into that just not prepared for anything, and I was just so sore just from that whole camp. It was probably the most sore I've ever felt in my life, because I was just not prepared for it as an alto sax player, just transitioning to a brass instrument. Right. So that's really all I remember from the first camp, but I still stuck with it. And then going to the January audition camp, it was basically the same thing, but it was actually for real this time. But the difference was that they set us aside, so all the staff members of battalion, like the visual staff members, the brass, the music staff members, they individually evaluate every prospective member to see like, hey, how good is their marching? Hey, how good did they play their etude? How good did they play this exercise? And they also look at how well do you rehearse in an ensemble setting. So there's that individual audition aspect of that as well. That's the difference between like the experience camps, like, hey, you're just seeing what drum corps is like, and then the audition process is like, hey, it's actually for real this time. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go to it because I really wanted to stick to it. I was just sticking to my goal of making up what I didn't get in high school, which is only I only marched 2 years in high school. And I was just like, I just want to march drum corps just so I can make up that thing I didn't get in high school. But yeah, after that audition camp, they offered me to callback. So for those that don't know, a callback is basically like, hey, so we see some good things in you, but we're not sure if we want you. So we're just going to offer you a callback and call them back to the next camp so we can see how much you improve, so we can maybe see if we can take you or not. That's basically my journey with that. And I went back to the February camp, and I actually ended up getting a contract in for the 2019 battalion horn line. And I almost did it. I almost signed my contract, but I was just thinking about, like, because I was almost graduating. I was planning on going to college after that. So I was just like, this is too stressful. I'm just going to put it off until next year where I'm actually going to go for it. So I decided not to march that year. I decided to focus on school. So, but yeah, that's just kind of how my drum corps journey got started.
How cool. How cool. And it's really cool to hear the beginnings of everything, and then now seeing where you are auditioning for the mandarins and getting that contract is really cool to see that history. So then you put off that season just to ensure that you were good to go for college, which is a very smart decision. And then auditioning back again in 2020 with, you know, the auditions already under your belt, you already know what to expect, and then getting another contract. What happened in 2020?
So in 2020, since I decided not to march in 2019, I was just like, okay, 2020 is my year. I'm actually gonna do drum corps. So I was just preparing, just getting my instrument. I figured out a way to get an instrument because I didn't own a horn at the time. So I just figured out getting an instrument. I practiced a lot to prepare for it, as I usually do. But in January, I auditioned and I got a contract just right away. Wow. And yeah, I got a contract just like right at the first camp, just not even a callback. I got a contract just right away. And I was just like, okay, this is insane, because for one thing, this was battalion's first time, originally going to be the first time that they were going to be at the DCI World Championships. So I was just like, okay, I was just going to go just to see what to expect and see if see if they see improvements in me. And I got offered a contract right away, and it was insane because I remember just like marching in 2021, just like talking to some members out at that camp. It was like, yeah, it was like really competitive, surprisingly really competitive. Like they had to cut like a decent amount of people. So I was just like, okay, how did I make that hit? But yeah, I got offered a contract right away. I was like, yeah, I'm actually going to do this. So I signed the contract right away, and I was just so ready to be in Indianapolis for the first time at DCI World Championships. That was going to be a really exciting thing. But then unfortunately, because COVID hit in early March, the season got canceled. I remember just feeling just really disappointed because I saw just that hard work that I've just did to just march drum corps for the first time, just all that just taken away from me. And it was really hard just during that year because I almost like lost my passion for it because I wasn't like actively practicing or anything. Yeah, I think that year just in 2020 was just really hard for everyone because especially for new members and veteran members alike. Just like the season getting canceled was just really hard for everyone, and I'm pretty sure it took a lot of people's passions away. So yeah, that time was just really hard for everyone, including me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree. I saw people's passions kind of dwindling away from band and from music in general and from DCI. I think it was hard for everybody. I mean, especially the people who were putting their lives into this, and that was their life, drum corps, just looking forward to the next season and continuously practicing throughout the whole year. It's easy to let that passion kind of slip away and die when you're not even sure if the season is ever going to come back. You're not going to sure if DCI is going to disband. You're not going to sure what's going to happen in 2020 with something that is so near and dear to your heart. That, the people who are creating shows, the people who are staff members, the people who are members of the corps, and the fans too. All of the fans of DCI there was a huge hole in 2020 with DCI and music in general. And I'm very grateful that in 2021, they picked it back up and things are, back to quasi normal, but it was an absolute hole in that year and hard on everybody, like you said. Absolutely. Yeah. So 2021, you got that contract again and they renewed it for y'all. So what was that season like? That was your first season on the field in a DCI corps.
First season just on the field, just period. That whole 2021 season was just like, okay, this is really awesome just doing band for the first time in 3 years because I was originally doing 19, decided not to do it. I was just putting off till 2020. Then 2020, the COVID pandemic hit, for like we mentioned earlier. So I was just like, I'm really excited to do band again. And that was just like going through my whole entire mind just during spring training. That experience was really awesome. It was really amazing. I just remember that season of just pushing through the hardships of already just trying to push through, just pushing through, just coming back from a pandemic, but also just the whole entire just shebang of things that we had to deal with just protocols, and just a bunch of people having to leave due to policies, health stuff. It was hard to fight through. Like as a group, it was really hard to fight through. But we all fought through. And that season was because of the things that we went through. It's a special season because we are just this little drum corps just trying to establish our roots again. And we made something that people just loved and enjoyed. And we were just satisfied and happy with what we put on the field with like all the crowds that at the shows that really I really loved and appreciated just everything that we did. So so that season will always be really special, I think, to everyone that marched that year, just because of how many things we had to fight through. So
absolutely.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about what all days are.
So that's just the one thing about what's common between every single drum corps is rehearsing in the summer heat and doing repetitive things for the sake of getting clean.
Yep.
And that's probably the hardest thing about drum corps. So spring training. So spring training, also referred to as all days, because it's literally you rehearse all day. So
Yeah, they don't lie in the name.
It doesn't lie. So basically what spring training is on a normal year, so you move in to where the drum corps, to the area where the drum corps is, and you house there, and basically you just rehearse all day, 10 to 12 hours a day for a month straight. That's how it usually goes between normal drum corps. However, in battalion, we do get a free day every Sunday because battalion is Christian values. That's just what they're founded upon. So they take Sundays off to rest. So that was really nice, to just get a break, to rehearse 6 days out of the day for 10 to 12 hours and then just have all day off on Sunday. That was really nice. But all in between those 6 days, you're just in the summer heat, just wearing a hat of some kind, just applying a whole bunch of sunscreen, and you're just sweaty out of your mind. You just feel gross, but you're just playing this big piece of metal for whatever reason. You're just saying, oh, let's play concert F, and then we'll just do concert F. Oh, it's on air. Oh, we're playing this excerpt of the show. Oh, we're doing lip slurs. And you're just basically just going and going and just paying attention to the feedback that the staff members, they give you feedback. It's hard going through that because all you're thinking about is just rehearsing like 2-3 hours. You're just thinking, oh, when's like lunch block? Oh, when is dinner block? Just stuff like that. You're just pushing through, just carrying this big piece of metal or this big drum or just color guard equipment, just imagine just carrying a big piece of everything, unless if you're a drum major or a trumpet. But yeah, that's the best I can explain it. It's literally just rehearsing all day. Just picture that.
Yeah, and that explanation is so valuable for any corps, but especially for battalion. And for those who are in band right now, it's equivalent to band camp, but on a much larger scale. And you're like Brock said, you're in the sun pretty much all day from sunrise to sunset. You're moving your body, you're in the sun, you're trying not to get heat stroke, you're trying not to pass out, all these things. You're carrying a big hunk of metal.
Sore. You're really sore if you play baritone or maybe contra, maybe mellophone sometimes, or maybe trumpet. I don't know. Yeah, if you play, but specifically low brass, or like maybe if you play like drums or like quads or like bass 4 or 5 especially, you're really sore like on the top of your body because you're just trying to carry this big piece of metal or this big piece of wood on your harness or just on your arms. So you get really sore, but also you get really sore on your legs. You get a bunch of shin splits. They're just trying to look your best while you're marching on that field. So yeah, shin splints are the bane of every single drum corps / marching band people's existence. So
preach, absolutely. So you're probably thinking, for those listening right now, you're probably thinking a couple different things. A, why would you pay to do this? And people are just crazy. Band kids are crazy, and it's so much fun. Band kids are kind of the most insane people. The second thing you're thinking is, how is this considered a sport? I will link down a video below. I think it's the Blue Devils that did it. There is a physician, I believe, who did all these tests on band kids who are doing drum corps, and it's hard to explain, but you just need to go watch it. They basically prove that like band kids in DCI work just as hard as any other sport, if not harder.
Oh yeah, 100%. In fact, like my doctor's note, because I have to get a physical for mandarins. So on my doctor's note, it says like all these descriptions on like, hey, it's like it's equivalent of like a marathon runner for like 12 hours a day. It's dance level on par to a professional dance company, carrying around big pieces of metal up to 50 pounds. So yeah, just reading that just by reading that, it's just like, holy crap, like these people are athletes, like, and it just kind of sunk into me, like, I'm an athlete. So like these people literally just march around the field equivalent to like a distance of a 10K or even like a half marathon to a marathon every single day. And And like when you're just running around on the field, like these people sprint around the field. Like watch watch basically any drum corps show, and you see a bunch of horn line members just sprinting and just playing on the field that triple forte or quadruple forte. It's insane with what these people do. So
it's wild.
it's crazy. And these people are athletes. I don't care like what you say. Like it's literally a sport. It's literally equivalent to a sport. And like when you're doing it, you have to control your breath too. You have to control your breath. You can't just breathe whatever because you're tired. You have to control your breath because you have all these breathing counts you have to do, and you have to play an instrument too, especially if you're a brass player. You have to use your air to play while you're running around on a field.
It is so wild. And I'll link those videos below, and I'll link a bunch of drum corps shows below as well. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay, so the Mandarins.
Yes.
Which you are now contracted with.
Yes,
I'm so excited for you.
I honestly can't believe it.
I'm so
crazy.
excited for you. I'm very proud of you. I'm very, very excited for you. Tell me about the difference between the two auditions between the battalion and the Mandarins. Were they similar in a lot of ways, or were they different? How does that all work?
Yeah, it was actually kind of somewhat similar.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's just I think the main difference is just like how it runs. So battalion does like your experience camp. Mandarins was just like in December. Okay, you're auditioning. You're literally just auditioning when you show up to the first camp. And also the other difference is that I think their blocks go like way. I think their blocks go like way longer. I think like on the Saturday block between lunch and dinner is like 4.5 hours or something like that. Okay. The one difference is that in battalion they're just kind of like giving you some leeway, because there's a lot of like lower level like newer players, like maybe people who just switch to brass instruments like me. While Mandarins, it's more professional, like people like actually care and actually know like what they're doing. So and it's already, I mean, it's still dirty, like don't get me wrong, it's still
Sure.
like what the flip are they doing, but it's already at a higher level. Like when you show up at a world class audition camp. So that's basically like the whole spiel of like what the experience was. That was one thing that did stick out to me, just going to their the first audition camp, and now the second audition camp they were allowing overnight stay at the high school. And just my first experience with after block and just sleeping on a gym floor. I was sleeping on a gym floor for the first time. It was just like, okay, yeah, I'm actually just in the full drum corps experience for just the very first time, just sleeping on a gym floor, showers, rehearsing all day. And it wasn't comfortable because I only brought a sleeping bag with no sleeping mat.
Oh no.
It was not very comfortable. I might get an air mattress because that's the way you go during drum corps.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting. I mean, I miss like the nice college dorms of marching battalion, but it's just part of the experience of just marching world-class corps.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. How cool. Okay, so what are you most looking forward to during this season of the Mandarins?
I'm looking forward to a lot of things. So for one thing, this is my age out year. So for those who don't know, so drum corps only has an age limit for those up to 21. There's only a certain age limit of where you can participate in drum corps. So I'm turning 21 this year. So this is my last year of just doing drum corps / band period. And I'm honestly really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to just having the whole entire drum corps experience, as well as so Mandarins is a finals level drum corps. That's why I kind of chose it. And I'm just looking forward to just seeing that big crowd in Lucas Oil Stadium just on finals night and just playing just everything I got, just being in that environment. It's one of the things that just really drew me to drum corps. So like in high school when we went to Grand Nationals, I really wanted to make finals so bad, but we didn't, unfortunately. But now being in a corps that basically has established himself as a world-class finals level corps, that's something that's just going to be really exciting to just to just be a part of, and just to have that whole experience of just binding together as a family for the whole entire season, and just having overall just that experience of just marching with just a world-class course. That's what I'm looking forward to, of experiencing that for the first and last time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And when this interview is going up, it is going to be right before the DCI season starts, when you can go purchase tickets and go see them in your local area.
Okay.
So
all right.
please, for those who are listening and watching, please go to the link below, dci.org, and go search for tickets in your area. You will not be disappointed. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's literally gonna be some of the best things you've ever seen in your life. So think about like dance company, theater, marching band. Like, even no matter if you only view marching band as just like, oh, it's just college for entertainment, or just like college band, or just people in the stands, or just on parades. If you view it as that, just you're not going to be disappointed. It's probably going to be some of the best things you've seen in your life. Just seeing all the hard work that the kids have put in for the summer, to see just to perform in thousands and thousands of fans. And that's why these kids do it, is for the fans that show up, that love these corps to death. That's why these kids do it. That's one of the main reasons why they do it, is to just see the crowd erupt of just seeing some of the best performances they've ever seen. So yeah, please purchase your tickets to a show near you and have some of the best times of your life. Invite your friends, your family, your grandma, your grandpa, your aunt, your uncle, your dog. Please go to these shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you're not super into the whole band thing, I promise you won't be disappointed. And it is a great introduction to drum corps. It's these people who are in these corps can't do it without the fans. Your support and you being there is why they do these shows. So it is so vital that people are in the stands cheering them on, and it's just such an encouragement for them too, to look out into the crowd and see, whoa, look at how many people I'm performing for. Look at how many people care about music. And it's really, really wild to be there and feel the excitement. It's, to me, if I wasn't involved in the band world, it would feel like going to a NASCAR race. I know nothing about NASCAR. I have no idea anything about NASCAR. But when I look at videos of people who are in the crowd at NASCAR and they're just so excited, it makes me want to be excited too. So maybe compare it to that a little bit, something that you don't really know a lot about, but you can get on fire for with the people around you. And people who are sitting next to you in the stands are more than happy to tell you anything you want about DCI. The more the merrier, really, in the band world. And nobody's going to look down on you for not knowing about it. Nobody's going to look down on you for asking questions and finding out more about the corps. Everybody's so much more than welcome and happy to invite you into the DCI family. So and on the same note, just a little plug as well, if that is something that you end up doing, or if you end up looking at shows online and you're thinking, man, this is something that I could get into, but I'm too old to be in a corps, or I don't know anybody in a corps, or I'm afraid, or my kids aren't old enough, or they're too old. There are also so many volunteer opportunities to man booths, or to help with food, or to help set up and tear down. There are so many opportunities for you to be involved, whether you are a child, an adult, somebody who wants to be in the corps, or somebody who doesn't know how to play an instrument. Just so many opportunities to be involved.
Okay, for one thing, if you're too old to march DCI, there's DCA, all age corps. There's all age corps out there. If you want to do this for yourself, even if you don't know how to play an instrument, they'll teach you how to. Like, there's corps out there that will teach you how to play an instrument, even if you're of age to do DCI. And if you only know how to play a woodwind instrument like me, like I didn't know how to play a brass instrument till the end of the senior year of high school, and I just picked it up and learned how to do it. And now I'm marching a world-class corps. So I'm a testament of anyone who's just like, oh, I can't march DCI because I play a woodwind instrument. Just go for it. Like, if you really want to do it, just go for it. No matter how old you are, even if you're like 50, I want to see those old boomers just like marching DCA or something like that. I really want to see it. Just please do it.
Absolutely. And if, I mean, on the same, thread of that,
Mhm.
if you're a piano player, if you're a dancer, I think a lot of the times I personally tend to neglect talking about the piano players,
Yes.
those people, because I personally don't do those things. If you're a dancer, color guard is the way to go. If you're a
Yes.
piano player or a guitar player, there is the pit that you are able to be in
Yes.
and not have to learn an
Or
entirely
drum
new
set. Drum
instrument.
set. If you play drum set,
Hmm.
pits
True.
will take you. They would love to
Absolutely.
have a drum set player.
Absolutely.
But yeah, even if you don't want to like march drum, even if you don't want to do this yourself, like say, oh, I don't want to do this. It's just like with the description and everything, totally understandable. By the way, it's not for everyone. Like I totally get it. If you want to, just not just drum corps and general, but like high school marching bands and even like some WGI groups, there's also indoor percussion and color guard. We haven't really talked about that because that's not really our field of expertise. Yeah, even if you don't like want to do it, but if you still have a passion for just this area in general, people will love for you to volunteer. Like the marching arts just in general is in no surplus of volunteers. Like they like these programs need volunteers like really bad. So if you have like an expertise in cooking, like some drum corps will be like, hey, you can be on the food crew. Or even if you have some sewing experience, they would love to have you do like uniforms and stuff like that. Or if you have like an admin or have admin experience, you can be on the admin side of drum corps or like high school marching bands in general. So if you have some skills that you've developed that you think that the marching arts would need, just go volunteer somewhere. Like if you have an appreciation of them, the marching arts activity as a whole would love for you to give back in that area by volunteering. Or there's also donations. Just outright donating. If you just like, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't want to volunteer, but I love the activity, so I'm just going to donate, support my favorite corps. Do that as well if you have a passion for this as well.
Absolutely. All good things. All good things. Thank you so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I have one last question for you, Brock.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. Actually, I'm going to do a rapid fire question first.
Okay.
What is your top 3 favorite drum corps shows?
I don't know. It's hard for me to pick favorites, not just in drum corps, but just like everything in general. But I would say my top 3 favorites are 1, Santa Clara Vanguard 2018. 2, like any Carolina Crown show from like 2011, 2012 to now. Or what should be my third? Oh my goodness. Blue Coats 2016 is a good one too.
Ooh, y'all, Blue Coats. If you're looking for a gateway drug to DCI, Blue Coats and Blue Devils are the way to go.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna answer the same question just because I want to give as many people as many gateway drugs as possible.
Yes, please. We want you into our cult, please.
I love so much the Blue Devils 2011. The Beat My Heart Skipped is Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. It is beautiful. 2008, this is a classic. For anybody who's in DCI, they know this one. 2008, Phantom Regiment.
Yes,
Spartacus.
that's a good one. Yes. that should have been on my list. Oh my goodness. It's just good.
Such a classic. It is absolutely a classic. With all that out of the way, with all the, gateway drugs out of the way.
Yes.
Okay. One final question for you for real this time.
Okay.
So there are a lot of people out there who may be listening and just want to get into the band world in general. What advice would you give to a kid who is thinking about picking up an instrument, or maybe they already play an instrument and they're thinking about getting into more of the marching band aspect and maybe the DCI aspect?
For one thing, if you haven't played an instrument before, but if you're thinking about picking up, like if you're young listening to this, and if you're thinking about picking it up, just go for it. I don't know. I'm saying this to the parents, like even if your kid just like drops it after like their sophomore year or even later, the things that they're gonna learn, just like in music, just like being in a rehearsal environment, even in a concert band setting, the things that they're gonna learn with just music in general is gonna be more valuable. Just the things that you learn in music and just being in that environment it's going to have a lot of impact on your life. I know for me, it for sure did, especially when I was in high school. It taught me a lot of time management stuff and also just sticking it through endurance stuff as well. So if you're a parent watching this and if your kid is thinking about picking up an instrument, just have them do it. Or if you're thinking about picking up an instrument yourself, just go for it. I would just say that's just like my general thing is just go for it. Even if you don't think you'll ever do like marching band, or even if you don't feel like you have the ability to do it, just go for it, because you will be surprised with the things that you are capable of. You will be surprised of what you can do when you didn't think that you could do otherwise. That goes for high school marching band. That even goes for like concert band. That also goes for drum corps too. So if you're thinking about doing drum corps, if you're thinking about doing high school marching band, if you're thinking about just doing anything in the marching arts, just go for it. And if you love it, then cool. Just go for it, you know?
Such good advice. I think, for any aspect of anything. Absolutely. Just full send. Just do it. And if you hate it, you can, at least you tried it, and at least you know it's not for you. That's great. Thank you, Brock. Thank you for that,
of course.
That advice. That's good.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, Brock, our time has come to an end, but I appreciate you being on this podcast so much. This is a conversation that we haven't really had before on the podcast, and I'm really excited and grateful that you were willing to talk about this and kind of pique people's interests into DCI if they aren't already into it already. All right, Brock, where can people find you if they want to follow your drum corps journey and kind of just follow everything that's going on in your life?
My Instagram is @Brockster01. I post a lot of other things besides drum corps stuff. Probably a lot of gospel-centered stuff, just because that's who I am. So if you really want to, go ahead.
And everything that we mentioned, all of the DCI shows, the DCI website, the DCI tickets, the DCI volunteer, everything will be linked below if you are interested at all. So thank you again, Brock, for being here. I super appreciate your time, and I appreciate who you are as a person. I'm very proud of you for getting into the Mandarins, and I'm super excited to watch this season play out for you.
For anyone that's in DCI who's like very in the activity, look out for the Mandarins this year. Like they're gonna shred the stands this year. Like I guarantee it. They're gonna do so good. I can't wait to see what we can do.
And I'm really excited to see what y'all can do. So perfect. All right, y'all. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you being here. If you wouldn't mind just taking a second to like, rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, it would mean the absolute world to me. It does not go unnoticed, and you guys are the only reason that we're able to even keep this going is by y'all watching and participating. So feel free to check out the links below for DCI, for Brock, and for Passions Over Pancakes. With all that being said, thank you again for watching, listening, and tuning into this podcast, and we will see you next week.